Welcome to our Sunday specials. In the last 2 months, sex offenders have been on the loose, even though many of the cases may never be reported. Well, activists are worried that though there appears to be an increase in such cases, if offenders are not identified and punished, they will continue to have a field day. Senior correspondent Ivy Khan reports.
In the last 1 week, stories of rape have dominated the headlines, putting the country in the spotlight for all the wrong reasons. Nigeria is a country of over 200 million people, with over 99.1 million persons being female. For a country with no database, getting accurate data for rape may be difficult. However, findings from a national survey carried out in 2014 on violence against children in Nigeria confirmed 1 in 4 females reported experiencing sexual violence in childhood, with approximately 70% reporting more than 1 incident of sexual violence. In the same study, it was found that 24.8% of females aged between 18 and 24 experienced sexual abuse before they turned 18, of which 5% sought help, with only 3.5% receiving any services. On June 1st, 2020, Barakat Bello was raped and murdered in Ibadan, Oyo State. Recently in Kaduna, an 18-year-old Jennifer remains traumatized after she was raped by 5 men who drugged her. Bauchi wasn't any different, as a 15-year-old girl was repeatedly raped by 4 men. She had a surgery to correct the effect of all this on her. Also, pedophiles are on the loose, constantly looking for minors to abuse. Such is the case involving a 12-year-old girl in Jigawa State who was recently raped by 11 men. While some lived their whole life battling with emotional trauma, Vera Owaila Omozuwa didn't make it alive. Uwa, as she was popularly called, an undergraduate of University of Benin, lost her life at the University of Benin Teaching Hospital on the 30th of May at the age of 22 after she was raped and attacked in a church. The National Bureau of Statistics in 2017 stated that 2,279 cases of rape and indecent assault were recorded by police across the country. For the Nigerian Correctional Service, over 5,000 Nigerians were admitted for sex offenses in 2013, over 4,000 in 2014, and 1,621 in 2015. Josephine Chukwuma is the director for Project Alert. She's been a gender-based activist for over 20 years. According to her, culture and justice are some of the factors responsible for the impunity going on.
We need to understand that we cannot continue to hide under culture and tradition and religious manipulation and misinterpretation to perpetrate acts of violence against women and girls.
She said prosecution is expensive, as even the police has no budget for an officer to investigate some of the rape cases.
Project Alert was on a webinar last week where the PPRO was on. I mean, he said, you have 100 divisions, but only 12 have the family support unit. And more so, that the police don't have a budget for investigation. When survivors or victims of crime go to the police station, and the DPO says, okay, Inspector Musa, you are the IPO assigned to this. Inspector Musa does not have an accounts department in the division to go for him to go and collect money to move around, or even a vehicle parked there. Do you want the policeman to use his salary to respond to your case?
Since there appears not to be a state-structured support system for survivors, Mirabel Center in Lagos have been doing the much it can. Juliet Olumuyiwa works with the center.
From inception, Mirabel Center has received and supported about 5,457 survivors of sexual abuse. And the youngest of these survivors was a 3-month-old baby, and the oldest was an 80-year-old grandmother.
She says more advocacy is needed to educate the public on the need to report cases of violation and report early too.
There is a timing to collect like semen. If there is semen deposits, a seminal deposit inside the person, you collect it, you can still test it. There are medications that have window periods. For instance, the prophylaxis, the HIV prophylaxis, which can help to prevent the transmission of the virus. Encourage people to come within 3 days.
In Nigeria, rape cases carries varied punishments. In some states, it could be up to 15 years behind bars, and in others, convicted offenders can be jailed for life.
Even if he's found or caught in the act, must be subjected to the crucibles of criminal trial. And that will mean that the charge against him will be read to him. He will be allowed to defend it. He will respond. He will even come up with his own line of defense if he have any. That takes time, knowing that he probably is going in for life imprisonment.
The major setback has been the stringent conditions required to prove, which discourages victims from pursuing the case. Since rape and other related sexual offenses appear to be on the increase, it is time to take another look at how people who suffered such dehumanization could get justice and closure for a lifetime. Ivy Kano, TVC News, Lagos.